Most anticipated games of 2024 and beyond. This is Jesse with Game Infinite. I'm really excited about this video. This is going to be the climax and wrap up of our best of 2023 event as we put a close on 2023 officially, and we look forward to the future with 2024 and beyond. Now, I've titled this video Most Anticipated Games of 2024 and Beyond for a reason. Usually when I make this list, I do this list usually once or twice a year, and typically like half the games don't have solid release windows, and we don't find out until we're in the year when we get closer if they're in fact coming this year. And then of course we have plenty of games that are slated for the year and then don't end up releasing. So I don't want to just label it 2024 because then I'm going to eventually be missing games that I would have been anticipating, but they didn't have dates yet until we got here. And so there's actually one or two on here that are all but confirmed to not be coming out in 2024. So this is just kind of a most anticipated games list in general. It is in no way a definitive list. I probably have another dozen or so that I could put in this video, but if you want to see the full list, check out at gameinfinite.net/news. You can read the article version of this video. We'll put a link in the comments below. You can check it out. We're going to be talking about all the games in that article. This is going to be a little bit shorter of a video. We'll just highlight some of my big ones, and it's not in like a really true order. I don't read too much in the order of games that we get in here. I'm really excited for all of these. I'm going to save some of the ones that I'm really super excited for near the end, but in general, it's not a super meaningful order of these. These are just games that I'm really amped about. But before we get to the video, I want to give a quick shout out to one of our partners, Ice-T Aesthetics. They have amazing nerdy and anime apparel, lots of really cool shirts like this brand new one that I just got. So this one's really cool. They have a lot of amazing things. We've been partnered up with them for a little while. You can use code GAMEINFINITE to save a little bit off your purchase, help support an amazing company, help support us as a platform, and save a little bit for yourself. Really, really cool merch. Definitely check that one out. Check out the video behind me. You got just a quick little glimpse of what you can see there. They got things from the Near universe. A lot of our fans are big fans of the Near universe, thanks to our GI channels. They have things from like Spy Family, Demon Hunter, a bunch of other amazing ones. Definitely check them out. Use code GAMEINFINITE, save a little bit for yourself. First up on this list is one that is actually the one I most recently became aware of. That's Plants vs. Zombies 3. Literally was announced that it was still a thing while like today as I was getting ready to prep this video, and I had to get it in last minute. I'm very excited for this one because I've played so many hours of Plants vs. Zombies 1 and 2, and then also their Garden Warfare spin-off series. I love just the Plants vs. Zombies series, and we've actually known about 3 for a long time, but it was supposed to launch like 4 years ago, and it was like essentially canceled. It was all but canceled and confirmed. It was soft launched and then pulled back, soft launched again. And from what I've seen of Plants vs. Zombies 3, it originally looked a lot different. It was actually going to be like a portrait, like up and down version, and they've completely gone back to the classic strategies. And I'm really excited for this one because it is definitely a series that I loved. I remember playing Plants vs. Zombies 3 way back on my iPhone 4, and I've put countless hours. I don't even want to know how many hours I've put into both of those games. It's super fun. You can have really great strategies. There's endless replayability with getting more plants and coming up with new strategies. Plants vs. Zombies 2 was more live service, so they kept adding more plants, more stuff. I'm really excited for this one. Yes, it's a mobile game. It's a mobile puzzle strategy game. It may not be for everyone, but for me personally, having countless thousands of hours in the first 2, I'm excited for 3, and I'm glad that they went back to the landscape version because that's where I think it needed to be. So I'm really excited for this one. Moving on to the next one is Moon Mystery. This one's I'm personally really excited about this one because I actually supported their Kickstarter, so that's one where it's like I'm very excited. That's how excited I am for this one because it's a first-person, looks like an exploration shooter. It's really cool looking. Like, it reminds me of a little bit. Has definitely has Starfield vibes. It may not be as big or as expansive, but honestly, Moon Mystery, it just looks really cool. And what really sold me on it was their realistic depiction of the black hole at the very beginning of the trailer. Just looked so cool. It was like interstellar vibes. Like, I just love this game. Really spoke to me from the moment. I love sci-fi. I love space exploration. It's really cool, and I can't explain it. It's just awesome. Definitely need to check this one out. Coming up next on this list is one that also was a recent announcement. Smite 2 is one that I'm really looking forward to. I played a lot of Smite. I didn't get as serious hardcore into it as some people did, but I'm really excited about this one. It's going from Unreal Engine 3 all the way up to Unreal Engine 5. So this is a multi-generational jump. The little bit we've seen so far looks really, really good. Some fans are disappointed that we're not going to see like crossover skins like from the first game. They're not really porting a lot from the first into this. Is going to be a ground up new game. But after 10 years, I think that's fine. I'm fine with that. The skins that I bought, the investment I put into that game, I got my worth out of it. I'm ready for a new Smite, and it looks fantastic. It's a 10-year-old game. It's time for a sequel. I'm excited that they're taking it to the next level. For those of you unfamiliar, it's a deity-based MOBA, and it can be a lot of fun, very addicting. I'm very excited for this one. When Exodus was first announced at the Game Awards of 2023, I was at the edge of my seat because they got Matthew McConaughey, right? Who played in one of my favorite movies of all time, Interstellar. He gets up and he starts talking about space and time dilation, and his little speech, I'm like, he's about to announce Interstellar, the video game, which I was so amped for. That turned out to not be what it was announced. Has nothing to do with Interstellar, but the fact that they got Matthew McConaughey to talk about a space game was like very excited for me, and he's playing a part of this. And Exodus is a new IP. It's being made by people who actually helped make Mass Effect. So I'm very, very amped about this game. The only reason I didn't put it like the top of the list is we just still don't know a lot about it. We got a cinematic trailer with a little bit of gameplay. It looks really, really cool. I don't want to hype this one up too much because it's a cinematic, like very early release. We only get to see a little bit of the gameplay, and it looks like it's gonna be some kind of third-person shooter. But they're talking about how there's gonna be like multiple endings and different choices, and you're gonna be able to like, there's gonna actually time dilation is actually gonna play a factor into like how far in the future your character ends up, and like there's just gonna be a lot of player choice. I'm just so intrigued, and the fact that it has some Mass Effect devs, it's sci-fi, it's space exploration, it's got time dilation. It looks fantastic. I personally am just super hyped for this game. It looks really cool, and this one needs to stay high on our radar. I have no idea when it's coming out. I highly doubt it's 2024. This is going to be one of those and beyond games, but this thing looks awesome. I think it could be a sleeper hit. So coming up next is one that is maybe a little under the radar. A lot of you may not have heard of it. This next game is Perfect New World Online, and it looks like it's a fantasy MMO. I will admit that it looks a little, for lack of a technical word, samey to a lot of these fantasy RPGs that we get. There isn't a lot that's just standing out as unique, but it does look visually impressive. I thought some of the characters that I've seen so far looked really cool. Ultimately, it's gotten my attention. I wouldn't say it's like at the top of my list. I want to see more about it. We have a little bit of gameplay, a little bit of trailer. It looks good. It definitely, I'm guessing this looks like an Unreal 5 game. It looks impressive, but we get a lot of these fantasy MMOs that are just kind of similar. So I want to see what makes this thing unique and stand out. But it's something about it has caught my eye, and I'm interested in this one. Check it out. This one I want to learn a little bit more about. This next game is one that we're not going to have to wait very long to experience, as Foamstars is actually dropping here in February. It will be free with PlayStation Plus. And this is also one of the games that I've actually had early access to, so I actually got to play the beta. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's essentially a Fortnite Splatoon mashup. Like, it has those Fortnite style genre graphics with the Splatoon cover the map with paint. It's such a weird, whatever that genre is, like the Splatoon was so weird. It's weird that it's inspired a genre, but it's a lot of fun. Basically, two different teams are covering the map in different levels of foam. It's super goofy, but it was a lot of fun. I liked it. I had no criticisms when I played it. The servers were actually pretty decent for a beta. My only worry about this one is PlayStation's been struggling launching live service games, and this isn't directly made by PlayStation. This one is a Square Enix game, but it's still going to be a PlayStation exclusive title. And the fact that it's not launching completely free, it's like the free with Plus. I'm getting a little bit of flashbacks to some other PlayStation Plus games that we got that have already shut down. And, I'm a little worried. in my opinion, this should have been a multi-platform free-to-play game for it to get enough audience. We've seen 2023 saw so many live service games shut down that Square Enix has not been on a winning streak right now. They've launched a lot of really bad games. They've had games shut down. So the fact that they're kind of they have the audacity to release an exclusive live service title that has a premium upfront cost is making me a little worried. It's my only criticism. I want them to succeed with this because the game is a lot of fun, and I hope it gets the audience that it is. But it looks really cool. Check this one out when it comes out. Try it on PlayStation Plus for free. It's going to be cool, I think. Next up is one that I'm really excited for and has been on my most anticipated list for a little bit is Zenless Zone Zero. Triple Z is a little bit unusual. It was actually announced right alongside Honkai Star Rail. They were both announced at the same time. Honkai came out in 2023, so we're definitely expecting Triple Z to come out this year. I didn't get a chance to play the beta, but I'm going to be going into this one blind. But everything I've heard about it so far is super fun. This is in the Genshin verse of games where this is that style, that genre. This one's going to be action versus the turn-based that Honkai was. So I'm excited that we're going to get an action game. What I've seen so far, that the combat, the characters, the world, everything looks fantastic. I'm super excited about this one. I think the boss battles and the characters and just everything about it looks really exciting. When I watch this trailer, I'm just seeing flashing moves. I'm seeing like the really cool over-the-top combat of Honkai Star Rail, but in an action live real-time combat system. So I couldn't be more excited for this one. I think Triple Z looks really cool. Next is one that is actually a sequel to a game that I was talked into playing by all of the gaming outlets, when basically every gaming outlet was just praising Hades. It was getting Game of the Year nominations. It was high up on top 10 lists. It ended up on our top 10 list. That game is fantastic, and we're getting a rare sequel. The developers who made Hades, they don't really ever do sequels, but this game got so much praise and love. They're revisiting the Hades universe. In Hades 2, we haven't seen much of it. We just get a little glimpse of gameplay, a little glimpse of cinematics. But Hades 1's formula worked so well and was a Game of the Year contender. The fact that we're going to get a sequel is really exciting to me because the art style of this game is just gorgeous. And the combat is really good. And it had really interesting weapons. And I don't even like roguelites. So Hades is a roguelite, and I don't even really like that subgenre, and I couldn't get enough of the Hades. It was so good. It was worth all of the peer pressure, all of the hype, and it definitely was as good as everyone was saying. So I couldn't be more excited for Hades 2. Next up is one that I won't spend too much time on because I don't know how good it's going to be. We are getting our first ever action game of One Punch Man. And anime inspired or anime games, they can be very hit or miss how good they are. And we have actually gotten multiple One Punch Man games in the past. But they've all been like mobile games or like very simple mobile games, or we got like a console level game, but it was like a fighter. This one is meant to be a full, true like action experience. It is launching on mobile and PC, and those sometimes the mobile PC ones that skip consoles sometimes make me a little worried that maybe the monetization is too aggressive, maybe it's a little too simple. I don't know. We haven't seen too much of it. It's supposed to be coming out very soon. I'm excited for this one because One Punch Man is my favorite anime. I love One Punch Man. I love Saitama. I so many amazing characters. This one looks really cool to me. I can't wait to play it. I'm trying to keep my expectations in check because is it going to be a mobile game that's just getting a PC port? I want to know how good is it going to be. I need to know how good it is because it's my favorite anime and I love One Punch Man. So it made it onto my list. I don't think this will probably be on a lot of people's lists because I don't know. I'm excited for it. Does anyone else love One Punch Man as much as I do? Let me know in the comments. Next on the list is, I'm not 100% on the pronunciation. I'm going to go with Project Mugen. I'm not sure that's right, but This game probably isn't coming out in 2024 because it doesn't even have a real name yet. It's still in its project name stage. It was only announced a few months ago, but I had to include it on this list because it's essentially there's a lot of Genshin likes coming out. There's like at least 4 on my list. I'd have to double check, but there's a bunch of these games that have this art style, and I love this art style, the characters, the world, everything about this anime Genshin style art style that's been taking off. I really like this one. What really stood out to me on this one was what stood out to a lot of people was that people were calling this like Genshin Impact meets Spider-Man because they introduced this. It's not a web slinging, but that's what it is. Like there's the characters like can like grapple around and swing around a large open world city. So this is going to be like if you took Spider-Man 2 and replaced it with Genshin anime characters in an anime New York, like that's the best way to describe this. I mean, I don't want to oversimplify. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more to this game than that, but that's what stood out in the first trailer to a lot of people is that this is Genshin Spider-Man, and it looks really cool. The characters that we've seen so far are interesting. I'm excited for this one. I think it could be a lot of fun. Hopefully, we'll learn more about what you can do in this world, about the story, about the characters. But right now, I'll take Anime Spider-Man. Next up is another game that I've actually had the rare honor to play early as well. I got to play the beta version of the first Descendant. I am very excited for this one. This game I got to play, and one of the reasons I'm so excited is because I've already had my hands on it, and I was very sad when the beta ended because I couldn't play it anymore. This was one where like I just wanted to keep playing. The first Descendant is visually gorgeous. It's an Unreal 5. The character models in this game look incredible. This is a next-gen title where we're getting more of these visually impressive games. The combat was super fun. It's a third-person, floaty, like Warframe style game. It was just, I didn't want to stop playing it. I didn't want the beta to end. I wanted to keep going. I was really hoping at the Game Awards when they showed off the new trailer that they were going to shadow drop it because the game felt pretty finished. When they announced that it was dropping later in 2024, I was a little sad because I was like, man, I really want it now. I would take it early access now rather than wait. Normally I'm all for waiting for a game to be ready, but like this was like, no, give it to me now and I will take the bugs. But the problem is the beta was so smooth and I didn't have any bugs or issues. I had one crash, and I was like, I kind of will take that. It could have easily had a very simple story where you start off with like a slideshow that gives the story of the world, and then you just go into just nonstop combat and missions. Like they could have made this very narrative light, but it feels like a AAA game. Like when you start, there's this whole cinematic, and there's just this opening like mission that has like a lot of production value. Just when you play it, it doesn't feel like some generic free-to-play shooter game. Like there's a lot of those that just are very light on the narrative. I enjoyed that this game is they're attempting, at least in the early parts that I got, to give us a full narrative. The characters that you get to choose from are super cool, visually impressive, different, like, and they're also like gameplay diverse. So I'm just super stoked for the first Descendant. It was one that I can't wait to play, and I think it's going to be a high-ranking game of 2024. The next one on this list is just continuing this trend of we're getting a lot of Genshin anime likes. I mean, just like these games that you look at them, they have this similar recurring anime style, very specific anime art style. And the next one is one that a lot of people have never heard of, and I ranked it very high on my list because it's just it was the trailer. The trailer sold me on it. It's Duet Night Abyss, one that it hasn't gotten a lot of radar. It's been a little under the radar, but I've heard some people talking about it, and this one really stood out to me because of specifically the trailer. I just stumbled upon the trailer when I was looking for games coming out to build this list. I just stumbled upon it. I didn't see it at an event, but it is so darn cool looking. The characters in this game look so detailed and diverse and incredible, more so than I would even expect from this subgenre. And when we get to see that it's not just pretty anime, like it's more than that. Once you get into the traversal, the flying, the characters are flying around. Once you get into the third person, the combat, it's just so fluid. It jumps between the third person shooting and just like the flying around. And when you get later into the trailer, you see like characters flying around, launching missiles, like just the traversal and aerial combat and the smooth shifting between the third person and the, it's just insane. And some of these characters have really cool abilities. Honestly, I don't know why this game is so under the radar, because when you watch this gameplay, I'm like blown away. It's action heavy, it's detailed, it's just, the production value looks very, very high, and I'm very excited for this one. There's a scene where the character's like flying around, and it like seems to like turn into it looks like an ultimate, and it's just like takes over the map. And then later we get a scene where like the character's like riding on a little like it's so chaotic and crazy, but I'm very excited for this one. I think it could be really, really good. The way this trailer ends, where we see the character go into full Tinkerbell mode and like just flying around the map, like shooting rockets, it's just impressive. I think the change in the combat styles throughout, like the flipping back and forth in perspective, and just all in all, this game looks way more incredible than I think it yeah, this, like look at this combat. Like it just seamlessly goes from the first person to like the action style. Like it's this game is going to be awesome. Definitely keep your eye on this one. Okay, next up is the Tomb Raider Remastered collection. This one is really cool because as a huge Tomb Raider fan, I speak for the community when I say we are starved for content. Like there's so much low-hanging fruit for remasters and ports and revisiting the amazing games that we have. There's supposedly a new game in the mix that we've heard nothing about for the last couple years. Like, we need new Tomb Raider stuff, and Tomb Raider fans, we're just dying for anything. So when they announced a remaster of the classics, that was very exciting. We know that it's going to have photo mode. It definitely, it made me a little worried because it reminded me a little bit of the GTA situation, where like when you try to remaster a game that's that old, it can be hard to do, because when you have that many multi-generational gaps between games, it gets hard to remaster. At some point you need to remake the things. So I was a little worried about that, but I think that, so early impressions, early looks, it looks really good. Hopefully they don't have a repeat of the GTA thing with that, but I hope that this game launches in a good state where it's going to be playable and not have a lot of bugs. But I'm excited for this one. Anything Tomb Raider, I'm there for. Shout out to our Tomb Raider Infinite community. This one's going to be cool. Next one on this list is one that I considered maybe keeping off this list because it somewhat violates the spirit of this list, as it is the only one on this list with a completely confirmed 2025 release date. This one we know for certain is not coming in 2024. The other ones just have no release dates or anything, but I was just like, no, it's 2024 and beyond. And I feel like GTA 6 is just too darn big to leave off this list and not mention at all, because it is by far the most anticipated game for so many gamers. Right now it sits at like the second most viewed trailer of any video game ever. It beats GTA 5's trailer in like a matter of like a half a day or something like that. It's insane how hyped this game is. And this game is going to be, people don't know how big, some people don't know how big GTA is. GTA 5 made more money than literally any other form of entertainment ever. It's bigger than Avengers Endgame and Titanic put together. Like, GTA 5 made so much money, and GTA 6, I am all but confident, is going to beat that record. It is too big, it is too awesome to leave off this list, and I'm going to be there for it. Next up on my list is one that I've been looking forward to for a few years now. I'm very excited for this one. It's actually my most anticipated new IP. There's a lot of great new IPs on this list, so don't get me wrong, I'm excited for all of them, but this is the one that I've had ranked really high as my most anticipated new IP, and that is what was formerly known as Project Eve, now with its official name of Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade is essentially a mishmash of Bayonetta, Nier. It definitely has huge Nier vibes, and I would also say maybe like a little bit of the Soulsborne genre, It's a Souls-like with the way it fights like a lot of bosses and that approach to combat. Not, it's definitely more sci-fi, and whereas the Souls-likes are more fantasy typically. The reason this one's been so high on my list is because it was one of the first Unreal 5 games that we've seen. And unlike a lot of the other Unreal 5 games that have dropped, this one's definitely, they're taking their time to get it out, to make it be as good as it can be. Whereas some of the other Unreal 5 games looked impressive when they were unveiled, but I'm thinking specifically of like Forspoken. Project Eve and Forspoken were both kind of unveiled around similar times. I remember seeing them around similar times, and they both looked visually very impressive. But Forspoken launched and looked terrible and was garbage. This game is taking a lot longer, and it just, everything we've seen about it just is visually impressive. The character models are just insane, just how real and cool and good the characters look. The combat is just fluid, and it reminds me of very like Devil May Cry, Nier, Bayonetta, just the action floating around in this sci-fi world with like these weird monsters, and it's like she lands on like a Yoda style pod from episode 3 of Star Wars, landing down on the planet and meeting these monsters. We don't really know much about the story other than this game looks cool, and I cannot wait for Stellar Blade. This one's going to be awesome. Next up, we've got an indie game that if you follow Game Infinite at all, you've probably seen this one before, and that is Lucid. I actually didn't tell Eric I was going to include this one on this list. I thought it'd be a fun surprise for him because I'm excited for this game, and this is being made by a friend of mine. So Eric of Matte Black Studios is a friend of the platform. We met him through our indie trailer project. We've showcased his trailers. We've helped support his Kickstarter. I was on his Kickstarter. I'm very excited for this one. The game is beautiful. He calls it a Celesteoidvania, which is like a combination of Castlevania and the Celeste game. And I'll be honest, I have never played any of those games, so I don't really understand what that means. He's explained it to me. He would probably explain it better than I can, and he has. You should definitely check it out on the developer interview that we did with him. I'll put that down there. Hopefully we can link that in. Definitely should learn more about that game because I'm really excited for this one. I just think the art style is impressive. I love all the purple. It's just a pretty game. It looks gorgeous, and you should check it out. Moving on, we have another indie game that was part of the indie game trailer project of Game Infinite, part of our indie game roundup and GI Friends program, and that is AIKODE. I am so excited for this game, and I know many of our viewers are too, because AIKODE is our most anticipated, most watched indie trailer on our YouTube channel. So for those of you that don't know, in addition to me talking and our state of gaming and the other stuff that we do, we put out a lot of indie game trailers and GI plays from various people that we partner up with, showcasing indie games, showcasing their trailers. And this game, we've had multiple trailers from them, and each and every time we drop one of their trailers, y'all go crazy. It gets thousands and thousands of views, way more than a channel of our size gets. So I'm excited for that. I get to help pass along that love to the developers of this game because it is awesome. What's super impressive to me is just how visually stunning this game is. It reminds me of a Nier game. It has that Final Fantasy / Nier vibe, and this is a solo indie dev. It just is really, really cool, and it's super high on my anticipation list. Next up is a game that I don't think is going to drop in 2024. I would love for it to do that, but since we're already getting another big Star Wars game in 2024 that I didn't put on this list, I was going to put on Outlaws, but the problem is I'm just so disappointed in the premise of Outlaws. It looks cool, and it may end up impressing me, but I'm just not excited about it. So it feels bad to put on an anticipated list when I'm not really looking forward to it. But this is the one I'm actually looking forward to. I would much rather have Star Wars Eclipse. Star Wars Eclipse just looks visually stupid. Like, that looks like live action. Like, you could say, Jesse, that's a cinematic. I know, but it's being made by people who make games that look like cinematics. Like, if this is how the game just straight up looks, I would not be surprised. Because these are the people who made Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls. Their games look like this. This is what their games look like. They are graphical wizards, and they also are narratively so good. So the fact that they're making a Star Wars game that'll look like this, and most likely have a really good story. I could not be more excited for this game. My only concern is the Star Wars curse, because, man, there's been like, it feels like 10, 15 Star Wars projects that have been announced and canceled. I don't know what it is. Like, the KOTOR remake is shifted developers like 2-3 times and has been rumored to be canceled. EA, like, canceled like at least 7 by my account. Like, I don't know what it is. There's some kind of curse with Star Wars games where it's really hard to get them out, apparently. So I don't know. They pitched DICE pitched to EA Battlefront 3 and EA said no. Like, I don't know why it's so hard apparently to build and get out a Star Wars game, because you would think that if they're good they would print money. Like, perfect example is Jedi Survivor had so many bugs and problems on PC, it still made a lot of money. So this game has so many weird things about the trailer that it just leaves me with more questions than answers, and I honestly could not be more excited about this game. It could easily be number 1 if I felt it was launching anytime soon. Speaking of launching anytime soon, another game that I could put it like number 1, but I don't think it's launching anywhere in the near future. It's definitely not a 2024 game. It's probably not even a 2026 game, but it is one where I could not be more excited. It would be my number 1 if we had a date, but because we're still in the early stages, we barely know anything about this game yet. It's hype on IP alone. I could not make this video and talk about this list despite how far away it is. I mean, we got a whole other game coming out in front of this one with Dragon Age, but it's the next Mass Effect. This one is also one that doesn't even have a full name yet. They could just call it Mass Effect or Mass Effect 4, Mass Effect 5, Mass Effect whatever. All we know is now is Mass Effect will continue. When this game was first announced at the Game Awards, I was at the edge of my seat. I just remember seeing it, was like, okay, it's really cool space. I'm seeing like the debris and the galaxies, and I'm just like intrigued, because anytime I see space in a game trailer, I get a little excited. But then we see a figure walking up the mountain. I was just, man, there's a particular moment I'm gonna point it out here, but I love Mass Effect. It is my all-time favorite game series. It is the best game series ever made. If you've never played Mass Effect and you've heard me mention it any chance I get in these videos, but that's the moment right there where Liara, when you see her like thumb off the N7 logo, I lost it, and I can't wait for this game. My number 1 most anticipated game is, I give it that title because it's coming out, and it's coming out for sure this year, so we know it's coming out soon. So it's the one that I'm most excited for, that I know is coming out in 2023, and I know is coming out soon. I'm gonna get my hands on it, and that is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I could not be more excited for this game. I'm worried about Square Enix because they keep putting out stinkers. I felt like Final Fantasy 16 was a little disappointing. I gave it an honorable mention on our top 10 list. I was a little disappointed with it. Square Enix has had a lot of issues. They put out one of the worst games I've ever played just a year and a half ago with Babylon's Fall. But Final Fantasy VII Remake was the best game they've made in a long time, and this is the direct sequel to it. Final Fantasy VII got me into Final Fantasy. That a segue in the trailer? Oh my gosh. I didn't even notice that the first few times I've watched this trailer, that he's on the segue. That's random, but okay, that's awesome. I'm just excited for more Tifa, more Aerith, more Cloud. I want to know more about this story. Final Fantasy VII Remake was almost our game of the year, and it only lost out to The Last of Us Part 2 because The Last of Us Part 2 was The Last of Us Part 2. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a game that I cannot wait to play. I'm going to be taking off work. I'm going to be just playing as many hours every night as I can until I finish it. This is going to be a roll credits as soon as possible game. I can't wait for it because the combat is good. Another reason I like it is because the combat reminded me of Mass Effect with its pseudo real-time pausable menu. That was really cool. And everything we've seen about so far in the trailers just looks insane. And I can't wait to see where they take the alternate universe time altering thing that they're hinting at, that they're going to change the story from the original. You're going to have chocobo racing and little mini games. Some of this stuff I didn't even catch the first time in the trailer because I'm so hyped up on the game. Well, anyways, that's my list. If you made it this far in the video, I want to say thank you for checking us out. Quick shout out again to Ice-T Aesthetics. Definitely go support them. Check out their page. Use code GameInfinite to save a little bit for yourself and support an amazing company and support our platform. Quick shout out again to them before we wrap up. If you have a game, I said at the very beginning of this list that it is by far not definitive. I could have 20 more games on this list. My Steam wish list is full. I have a dozen other indie games that I know about are coming that I could highlight it. I just picked some of my favorites. So I would definitely love to hear what games are coming out that you guys can't wait to get your hands on. What are you wanting to see? Tell us down in the comments below. This is Jesse with Game Infinite. I'll see you guys on the next Game Infinite video.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look at the enemy.